The legacy of storytelling in the African-American Black community is rich and it's historic. This morning, in recognition of Black History Month, we hear from leading voices about the impact of stories through history, as well as their personal experiences that inspired them. They include civil rights icon and Congressman John Lewis, writer and director Dee Rees, actor Jesse Williams, writer Jacqueline Woodson, writer Jason Reynolds, and actress and dancer Debbie Allen.
I think the first time I realized I was Black and that it meant something was hearing James Brown say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud. Say it loud! And it was like, wow, yeah, we can say this, I am proud. Say it loud! Ow! It was a moment of realizing that Black was beautiful. And having come from the South and coming from a Jim Crow South into that moment, it was everything.
I saw the sign that said white men, colored men, white women, colored women. My skin is black. I knew that I was different. We have to tell the story. We have to make it plain so people can feel it, so people can be inspired. My hair is woolly.
There were always barriers and, glass ceilings and wooden and iron doors to get through. You can't get caught up in the madness of hate and anger. You won't get there. The creative spirit has to live in a place of joy and light, not darkness.
Think about the fact that I get to be a writer, born from a lineage of people who were not supposed to read. Like, how could I not be overcome with joy and overcome with pride?
Was it legal for us to read and write in this country for quite a while, for centuries, in fact, and punishable by death and far worse? So we had to be creative and figure out ways to communicate and survive, and if you're lucky, thrive and have moments of, fleeting joy and pleasure and expression.
It is part of the tradition coming all the way back from Africa. The griot was the one that kept the history, the storytellers.
With that storytelling, the civil rights movement would have been like a bird without wings.
We understood it because we were seeing Black men lynched and hung from trees and people water hosed down and dogs. And for a young person, that kind of violence coming to you from the authority, that was terrorism. The civil rights movement was powerful and it made you feel empowered that you stood up and that you weren't afraid.
I think that what stories actually do is they fortify that which is the culture. The more stories that we have about us, the more that we share them with ourselves and with the world at large, I believe the more emboldened we are as a people.
We've been doing this for hundreds of years, so this is just using kind of like the new kind of accessibility, using the new venues to keep telling the kind of stories that we've always been telling.
It's important to me to find ways to allow others the opportunity to discover the humanity and the necessity, sadly, for full citizenship for Black and brown folks in this country. And a tool to do that, a tool that I can utilize to do that is storytelling.
My coming to writing was both an act of resistance because how dare me not be on the pages and a desire to not have my experience of spending many years not seeing myself on the pages happen for another young person. I grew up as Spider-Man, Batman, and you had to kind of like find somebody to like identify with, and it required more imagination in a way because then you could relate to qualities versus kind of like physicality. Whereas like, when I have kids, they'll always have Black Panther. And I think that that's a radical position. They'll always have a hero that looks like them. They don't have to reach. When I look back to that moment of saying I'm Black and I'm proud and thinking, oh, of course I am. Of course this is the truth. I've known I wanted to be a writer all my life, but it really informed what I was going to write and how I was going to write it without apology. I was going to write without apology about being unapologetically Black.
unapologetically Black. I think it's so important to know your history and tell your story. That's why I think it's great that we did this. I wish Black History Month, though, was incorporated all year long.
Yes, I was just
That it wasn't
say.
just 1 month, the shortest month, by the way, 28 days as opposed to 31. 28 days. That it was incorporated through all of the year, that it just became a thing that was incorporated in daily lives and in conversation.
Because the Black experience is fundamentally the American experience.
Exactly right, Alex.
That's right. That's why Roots was the story of an American family.
Right.
Yes.
And there was a systematic effort to smash stories, to deny people their roots, because without roots you have no connection, and you can be split up as families. And stories are the key to regaining identity.
And that's why it's so important to see stories and see people that look like you, that represent you. That's why Black Panther is so huge. So we can look forward to Black Panther number 32.
Yes. I'll buy tickets to all the sequels, Gayle.
It's a very important conversation. That was great. For more of this conversation, follow at CBS This Morning on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You'll see CBS News correspondents sharing what Black history means to them, and you can give us your own stories using the hashtag #MyBlackHistory.